Hey, welcome back to Talk Dealership Service. My name is Dale Childress, and today we're going to be looking at the dealership of the future. If you're new to the channel, I hope you take a minute to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, hit that bell so you'll get notifications of future videos. Follow us on our Facebook page, which I will link to this video. And most of all, I want to hear your ideas as it relates to dealership service, parts, and used cars. I don't really get much into new cars and probably won't for the next 18 months, simply because so many of the legacy brands have shut down production facilities around the world due to the semiconductor shortage, which has kind of made us in the fixed ops arena relook at how we do business. It's totally different than it was just 18 months ago. And I really believe that in the next 18 months, it's going to continue to redefine us. My hope is that those of you that are tenured, you've been around this industry for a long time, hopefully you're looking to grow and expand, try things that you never thought you would have tried, and be willing to look at ideas that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have looked at. Because I'm here to tell you that if you cling to tried and true practices, going forward with the new psychology of the customer, simply the old dealership model doesn't serve the needs the way they once did. So let's be open to manifesting change, especially within ourselves, because when we open that change up, we'll be willing to surrender a few battles to win the war. So anyway, I want to dive right into this and give you a look at what I think the next level of dealership services is going to be. I was reading a thing just yesterday about Lithia Motors, who, if you're familiar with them, they're probably one of the top companies in America as far as just dealerships and their forward thinking. Well, they've created a new segment within their company called Lithia Driveway. And what Lithia Driveway is it takes service to the customer instead of the customer coming to you. I like profound thoughts, profound ideas. Now, one thing Lithia is not saying is this is the wave of the future. They simply don't know. But what they're doing is they're willing to try and see what the appetite is for such a service. And they've even got this honed down to where not only can they do things, oil changes, obviously, filter exchanges, obviously, tire rotations, and they claim they can even do some minor mechanical services, maybe even diagnostics in your driveway or at your place of work without you ever bringing your car to the dealership. Is that a way of the future? You tell me. I'll be waiting for your responses on that. One of the things that I'm working with the dealership right now, we're looking at service grid pricing, parts grid pricing. But what I mean by that specifically is in the old days, grid pricing was kind of a bell curve. You know, you started low as the hours got to maybe an apex or a sweet spot, if you will, 3, 4, 5 hours. That was your highest point of labor expense. And then as maybe the job went to 8, 9, 10 hours, that labor rate came back down. Well, now we're looking at creating labor types. So I'll use $100, for example. So if you get general labor, if somebody comes in, they got a coolant leak, they got an oil leak, maybe that's priced out at $100, even the diagnostic side of it. Let's say that turns into a drivability or a transmission concern. That skill set in your shop more than likely is a higher rate of pay than somebody that's a general maintenance item. So now we're looking at not $100, but maybe $130 for that skill set. Going even higher, let's say you've got diesel or EV, things that require a lot of hard work, a lot of heavy work, or a lot of engineering diagnostical tools. In that respect, we're looking at maybe $150 to do that repair. All this model works great as long as the service to the customer equates to the value that we're charging. So people they exchange their money for value. In another way, we're looking at the dealership of the future, some more things that we're trying to do is yesterday, everybody looked at technicians as flat rate employees, basically meaning eat what you kill, earn what you turn. That model has worked, or has it, over the last however many years. One thing that model has created is it's created an environment where the technician becomes the commodity and they're simply going to the highest bidder. I think that's a broken model. I like the idea of paying a technician off how many hours they physically work. Now, give thought to that. Let's say you take a technician that does work a 40-hour work week, and you're protecting that technician to that 40 hours. So if you got a guy making, we'll just say $20 an hour, and he knows that if he works 8 hours, he's going to get paid $20 times 8 hours. Now, we're still going to calculate his flat rate. And if his flat rate for the day comes up to 10 hours, then he obviously gets the greater of the two. But instead of looking at that technician as a commodity, now we're looking at him as a team member. Now he feels he has value. We've not only bought into him, but he's committed to us. He or she, I'm using him kind of not gender neutral, if you will. But I hope that makes sense. So let's just be willing to look at maybe what we call a hybrid. I'm not sure that's the right way to do it. We're literally taking care of our people. Now, at the management level, it's our job to monitor productivity. And if we got a technician that over a course of 30, 60, 90 days continues to be 80% productive instead of 120% productive, we need to look at that. Are we feeding them jobs at their skill level? Are we asking them to do things they simply can't do? Or here's another beauty of paying somebody hourly and flat rate at the same time. Now we can focus our efforts on training. And that's one of the things I really love about what I call the dealership of the future is we now have the ability to take a D-Tech where used to be the highest turnover in the dealership. These were lube entry technicians with literally no path to success because we didn't give them one. Now, under this model, where we're paying maybe a B-Tech or an A-Tech, we're protecting them with their clock hours, yet giving them flat rate. Now we can put a D-Tech with them, let them mentor them to maybe a C level. Because you can get a D level tech to a C level tech and get an electrical certification in usually 6 months. Now, obviously, to go from C to B might take, 2 to 3 years. And the mentor can still be there, accessible, but they just won't have to monitor them as closely as they did when we were moving from a D to a C. Now, obviously, to go from a B to an A is normally a 7 to 10 year program to get master certified and senior master certified. And when if you're fortunate enough in your dealership to have senior master techs and you've protected them hourly and made them part of the team, whether they're a mentor now, they're a foreman now. When you do that, these techs don't see themselves as commodity that can just be traded out to the highest bidder. Now they're committed to your team and your dealership. I'm sharing this with you just simply to say, let's be open to a better way of doing business. Let me give you another example. Let's say you've got a box, just a small box. I should have had a prop here for you, but just a box, an empty box. In that box, let's just say I went to Lowe's and I bought a little pack of mustard seeds. They're inside that box. That box, let's say we take a D-Tech and we place him in that box. If he has no path out, that's where he stays. Same with the mustard seeds. If we don't do anything with them, 100 years from now, they're still just seeds that were never given the opportunity to grow. But when we take them out of that box, plant them in fertile soil, water and weed them. Now all of a sudden, we have a plant that can feed for years to come. Now that might seem like a silly little metaphorical analogy, but how many techs, or how many people for that matter, have you placed in a box, closed the lid, and simply forgot them because, techs, like salespeople, they just come and go. Let's be the difference. Hello? Let's make sure that we're the ones with profound thinking, and we're not only willing and able, but we have an innate desire to grow our people to the maximum level we can. Now, what I want you to do, here's your challenge. I want you to think right this minute, whether you're in parts, whether you're in service, or whether you're in sales, I want you to think of a couple of people within the dealership that you're like, if somebody took the time to water this person, they might be able to grow into something better. We got to know what their desires and their abilities are. We can't say, okay, you're a parts person and you don't really do a good job in parts. But this person has integrity. They show up on time. They're of good character. Just because they weren't good at parts doesn't mean they can't be good at something else. I remember watching a video about a sales trainer a few years back, and I won't name the name, but he used to make fun of what was called the 6-car guy. And he'd say, oh yeah, a lot of dealerships take their 6-car guy, the guy that couldn't sell anything, and let him train their people. Now what he was doing was mocking the 6-car guy. But what if that 6-car guy has a teaching ability and a desire to use his abilities to grow the company? So while you're thinking of these people that you're going to take out of this box and put in fertile soil and water, really give thought to maybe some of the young ones and even maybe some of the older ones. Just because somebody's been in sales for 20 years doesn't mean they don't have other abilities for the company. It's time we get off our high horses, get off our egos, and start training people that can replace us and be better than us. So oftentimes we take a salesperson that sells 20 cars a month, go, we'll make him a sales manager. Might be the worst thing we could ever do. One, maybe the salesperson doesn't want it. And two, what have we done to prepare that person for leadership roles? We put them into sales management, they grossly fail, we lose them. We lost our 20-car guy, and we lost a potential leader for the company simply because we didn't take the time to water the seed. Hello? Yes or no? The dealership of the future is the one that's going to embolden people to think outside the box, to look at your people in a different way, to take those that are in the box that maybe today they're stuck. Let's pluck them out and go, you know what? Here's opportunity. If you look at the Lithia groups, the Sonic groups, the CarMax, the AutoNation, they've already got mentoring programs in place, and they're coming on strong. So if you're a dealer, maybe a single point dealer, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 point dealer, it's time to start looking holistically at your company and look at it in such a way that, I might have enough people on the bus, but maybe I don't have them in the right seat. Yep, that's the Good to Great book. So I'm going to close with this. Take the time to look around you. Take your blinders off. Set your ego aside. And let's decide today that we're going to move our dealership forward. We're going to start looking at pay plans in a totally different way. We're going to understand the psychology of today's employee, that money might not be as important as time off and awards and contests and fun. There's so many things that we can do to change the landscape we're in such a positive way. So if you're willing to do that, then I want you to share your friends, your coworkers, everybody in this industry, anybody that desires to be in this industry with this channel. My name is Dale. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. I'm going to share this on Facebook, and I'm going to share the Facebook link to you here on the YouTube channel, and I will see you again later in the week.